What's happening, troops? So today we're diving into Bungie's brand new IP Marathon. Now, they done a reveal event at the weekend for this via live stream, and it's had a bit of a mixed reaction. Some people are high in it, some people no so much. The gameplay, art style, etc. It's been quite the hot topic over the last few days. Bungie, obviously well regarded with the FPS scene with Halo, Destiny. I was a big, huge Destiny fan myself back in the day. Marathon's their kind of first drop in the looter shooter extraction genre. So we're going to take a deep dive into all the things we've seen over the weekend, trying to kind of break down as much as we can with gameplay, the characters which are known as runners, all things Marathon. So let's just dive into it. So we're going to have a look at the game overview as described from Bungie. I've tried to dissect this whole event as much as possible, so we've got a wee 2-minute kind of description of what the kind of overall game experience is going to be.
Marathon is a team-based extraction shooter set around the mysterious
Trios only
world of Tau Ceti 4.
Personally, I'm liking the art style and the visuals and the colour palette. I'm digging it. Something different.
Who's given up their human form for a biosynthetic shell with unique abilities and stats, capable of both tactical and fast-paced
We've
combat.
got 1 map in the alpha, and we're getting 3 maps
Here
at
you'll
launch.
fight in a crew of up to 3 players across a variety of zones and points of interest.
With 4 characters in the alpha, but I think we're getting 6 runners at launch as well.
Security forces and otherworldly threats to scavenge the remains of a lost colony for glory and fortune.
But I'm big on the style, man. I'm digging it.
Environments of Tau Ceti
Something
4
just visually different.
weapons, materials, and equipment
The
you
looting
can
kind of
scavenge
system here.
throughout the map. Before deploying, you'll strategically build your loadout and select a runner.
The usual
to ensure
extraction
you're
stuff,
equipped for
loot,
the run ahead.
loadouts.
Your objective is simple. Get in, gather as much loot as you can, and make it out alive. Die, and all your gear will be up for grabs. Survive.
Now, hopefully, the loot will be valuable enough to make it a very important thing in the game. I feel like as much as the shooting side and the PvP element, I feel like the loot has to be bang on the money here. You need to feel you've got that risk on you. You didn't want to lose certain items and stuff. I'm really hoping that the loot side isn't massively overlooked.
And your loot can be taken into future runs as you grow in power and fill your vault.
Again, we get a look at the kind of looting. So I wonder if any of this UI will change, because obviously we're still in alpha phase. I feel like this could get sharpened up a little bit. But obviously some damage info for this little SMG. You've got your backpack, equipment and stuff like that. So obviously just very bread and butter extraction kind of stuff here. Pretty simple, which necessarily isn't a bad thing. I'd maybe just like to see the UI tweaked a little bit.
Is inevitable, but it's never the end. Think quickly on your feet and outplay your opponents, and in your next run, you and your teammates will be the ones coming out on top.
I mean, gunplay's going to be solid coming from Bungie. I'd bet my
Factions can sponsor you
my
with a
house on
fresh
that.
loadout, so you can get right back into the fight. Bungie brings its best-in-class first-person multiplayer action to the forefront. Dynamic and tactile gunplay, runners with unique playstyles, and customizable builds create highly dynamic and strategic team fights.
So this gameplay overview, we've seen some gunplay action, we've seen some wee snippets of the characters, the runners. Now, as mentioned, we've got 4 during the alpha and probably the beta that will be coming up at some point. So the devs kind of broke down each runner because we have different abilities for each one. You can run 3 of the same class if you like. But let's have a wee listen to what the devs had to say about all 4 runners.
We have Locust. Locust is our soldier kind of fantasy, our soldier kit, all about push forward gameplay, right? The first one in, trying to get as many picks as possible, right? Against either the UESC or other players. Next, we have Blackbird. It's very reconnaissance-based kit, all about like figuring out where players and enemies are in general and punishing poor positioning. Glitch is like our agile disruptor kind of kit, all about pushing forward, disrupting enemy teams and what they're doing and getting out and kind of having that kind of cycle. Void is our stealth boy, our sneaky boy, all about throwing down smokes, going a full active camo cloak, Into the Darkness, getting some reses, and then taking some people by surprise. So yeah, this is our core 4 right now for Alpha.
So a ton of potential with runners and abilities. Now, something else that we mentioned in that kind of wee game overview that we showed is the loot. Now, for me, this is the bread and butter, make or break a little bit for the game. Now, PvP side is obviously a huge facet, but the loot, the risk, the reward, the pressure to run about with key items, high valued items, and trying to extract. It's always such a important element for extraction games. So here is another thing that the devs had to kind of mention about the loot.
There's a ton of loot.
There's a ton
of loot. Yeah, there's implants, there's cores, there's equipment, there's
grenades.
Consumables.
Let's talk about grenades.
Yeah, there's grenades.
I mean,
We have a bunch of different types of grenades in the game as well that you can loot in the world. We have valuables, we have backpacks, attachments, weapons, materials, keys.
and there's a bunch of stuff too that we're just, we call valuables, but like there's times when you're running low on money and you're like, I just need to do a valuables run right now and I need to pick up these things and get my money, into my space bank. So
I was gonna say, you're trying to get as much loot as possible to meet the challenge of the world, right?
Yeah.
Like essentially, different missions get harder over time, right? Which means you want to have more loot on you so you can survive longer, so just in general, be able to do fight all the different, hostile entities in the world, like get through there's a POI on a zone that's heavily fortified by UESC and all of the different units that are there, the snipers, the assault units, you want to be able to not only withstand that and players. So there's a lot of reasons why you want to get loot in the game.
And honestly, a lot of the loot translates into things like upgrades, that you utilize through the factions, but there's also an in-game store called the Black Market where you can use a lot of your currency and things like that to actually re-equip yourself if you go on a bad run or to upgrade yourself if you need anything from that space. So there's a lot of reasons to get a lot of good loot out. I don't think I'm ever short of reasons to get loot out.
Now, another thing mentioned in the event with regards to maps. Now, during the alpha and again, assuming the beta, we'll have one map to play. But on launch, we'll have another couple of maps when the game comes out in September. So we're going to take a wee kind of look into a little overview of this map that's playable to begin with. Some cool features like weather elements and stuff like that. So we'll take a wee dive into that one. So this is the first map, Dire Marsh.
Hero run or high rolling with powerful gear, you'll need to use your best judgment when you decide which fights to pick and how. Because no matter how geared you are, players with skill and strategy.
It seems like quite a small map, but in a good way, because I think we get 18 players each run in total.
Designed to be played in crews with contextual pings, shared objectives.
I like the shared
down but not
objectives.
out to streamline playing with your friends. Death is not the end. And if you're the last one standing, you can overcome the odds to revive your teammates.
I like this.
Get out
So get revived
your hard-earned
at
loot.
any time.
And if you believe your skills alone are enough to conquer any challenge, we give you the freedom to opt out of crew fill to take all the glory for
Just
yourself
run solo.
as a solo runner. No two runs in Marathon ever play out the same.
I will
Dynamic
say,
events, variable weather, and unpredictable players.
so the weather stuff
You'll have
I
to
love.
adapt on the
Absolutely
fly if you
love the weather element. I'm hoping that plays a big factor. I know they've mentioned like heat shields and stuff like that, so I'm really hoping the weather plays a big part. But I will say, obviously, alpha, so not being overly critical here, but I feel like the colour of the colour palette of the game, I'm loving the vibrancy, the characters, the buildings, the internal buildings look good, but outside elements looks a bit washed out and a bit grey for me sometimes. But again, alpha builds, this might change. That's the only thing for the visual standpoint for me
With dynamic events, variable weather,
that I'm not too
and
sure about, but I'm
unpredictable
loving the
players,
weather side.
You'll have to adapt on the fly if you want to survive. Each run has a time limit, and anything can happen while you're chasing your objective.
So a wee kind of quick look at the map there. So another key element of extraction games for me is tasks, factions, etc. And that is another thing that Marathon will be doing. They've mentioned factions, missions, leveling up, rewards and stuff like that. So let's have a wee listen to what they had to say about that side of the game.
There's a variety of reasons. So a lot of it was related to sort of our factions and contract system. But if you want to talk a little bit about that, Lars.
yeah. I mean, we've got this entire system we call factions. You're doing contracts, they're like missions, and you are being greeted originally by a AI representative because you are a mercenary. You don't really have allegiance to anyone. They are going to pay you to do these jobs, and so they'll give you these missions to do. And as you're doing these missions, like Andrew said, sometimes you'll run into danger. But the cool thing about, I think, a lot of the faction and the contract system is like you could complete the, download the agricultural survey from this one area on one of the zones, and you're doing the thing, and you've sort of done it. So even if you die, you've still made progress there, which I think is a really cool aspect of that feature. But then there's also this other meta layer where as you're working with the different factions, they allow you to upgrade yourself over time, and so you can increase your heat meter, you can increase your loot speed, things like that.
So it sounds fairly promising. Like I said, the mission side and having the shared missions and be able to help each other out as a trio, ticking certain missions off. Again, having some narrative, having something to force you into certain areas, maybe some high level areas, just having that kind of thing to drive you in. Maybe you die and you have to go back, and obviously they did mention that if you do get a task done and you die, it does stay complete, which for me that's a nice wee quality of life thing where at least you maybe lose your loot but you've got the mission done and you're like, cool, I'll move on to the next one. And like we touched on in the intro, this has been quite a hot topic. Everybody seems quite split on the potential for this one. Surprisingly, the visual styles come up for some critique, but I feel like it looks a bit original. I'm liking the colour palettes. Like I say, externally, I feel like it needs a wee bit more polish and a bit more pop, but the character design, the interior design, all looks great for me. I feel like it dropping on consoles as well is a big plus. Like as much as I have my PC and stuff, I'm a big console guy. We've got the PlayStation. I'm always on the sticks. I love the comfort of my consoles, and I feel like the extraction market for consoles is something that might just really help them out here. I've played Tarkov here and there on the PC. It's too sweaty, too hardcore for me. Again, consoles, PC, we've got Tarkov, Arena Breakout, Delta Force. We've got Arc Raiders coming up, Exoborn, like the PC side. There's a ton of competition, and I feel like the console side of things might give them that kind of upper leg. We've got things like Vigor, Hunt Showdown to a certain degree on console, but the market for me feels wide open on console, and I feel like this is something that the game could maybe get a wee bit of an upper foot in some games, because Delta and Arena Breakout have mentioned console release at some point, but it doesn't seem like it's on the horizon anytime soon, and with a mid-September release date, that could be one thing that really helps Bungie here. And also, price point, they never really touched on it in the live event, but on the socials kind of when the event finished, it was confirmed that it's not going to be free to play. It was touted that it was going to be like a full price game, but Marathon on their Twitter came forward and says that yes, there will be a price point, but it's not going to be that high end, so I think the kind of $40 price point's been heavily touted around. For me, happy to pay that. Like I say, it's always a tough kind of market now, and do you go down the free-to-play route? We've seen some games kind of come and go, like X-Defiant and the FPS genre, although this is a kind of extraction shooter, it just seems to be such a tricky market now, whereas do you go down the free-to-play route and really push cosmetics? There will be a battle pass, which just seems to be bread and butter for games these days. You just have a battle pass, but I feel like it's a hard one to juggle, and they've maybe go for that lower price point. Obviously, some people mentioning Concord and how quickly that game died, but it's something that it's a hard one to weigh up for me, and we have seen free-to-play games just kind of come and go that look like they have potential as well. So I feel like it's a hard one to find that balance for, but for me, if it's that mid-range price point, £40, like, I'll pay it again. A big fan of Bungie. I feel like the shooting side of things is going to be great. It's just how will they balance this extraction shooter side. But it's something I'm optimistic for. I think the alpha is more North American, but they have teased a beta, so hopefully we can get some access to the beta. But it's something I'm going to try. Again, I love extraction shooters. I didn't play a ton of them, but it's something that I love to watch. I feel like the narrative, just every run being a wee bit different, and again tying into like contracts, loot, PvP, there's so much in an extraction shooter that's like a perfect recipe for fun, tense times. So overall for me, I'm excited for Marathon. I'm looking forward to it. Sound off in the comments what we're thinking of this one. Again, it seems very, very Marmite. Love it. hate it, no too much in between. So let me know in the comments, the usual stuff as well. Hit that thumbs up button for me if you ain't, sub, all that jazz, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.